There was a moment sometimes we're like, well, what do books and running have to do with each other? And I'm excited that we get a chance to talk today about that and and how they're related.
Hello and welcome to Runnah, running on Cape Cod, Massachusetts and beyond, and welcome back to your favorite local running community. I'm Juliana, your host, and this week we have a very special episode, which I think a lot of you are actually really going to like. Controversial to what our friends over here initially thought. I think there's a very big crossroads for what we're going to talk about here in the running community. But we are here with the 8 Cousins bookstore employees, and we're going to figure out exactly what they do at that store. Emily and Sarah.
Hi.
Hello.
Hey guys.
So I'm Sara, and I am one of the owners of 8 Cousins Books, and 8 Cousins has been one of the sponsors of the Kids Fun Run for a few years with the marathon. And yeah, your question was absolutely right. There was a moment sometimes we're like, well, what do books and running have to do with each other? And I'm excited that we get a chance to talk today about that and and how they're related.
Yeah, 100%. And I'm Emily. I'm the communications coordinator at 8 Cousins Bookstore. I'm also a bookseller and have worked there for the past year. And prior to this, I also taught second grade for about 7 years. So I feel like I have seen so much throughout my experience, both here in the Falmouth community and also working with kids, of that connection with running and movement. So, and reading and movement. So yeah, excited to talk about it.
Yeah, because not only are there books about running, there are runners who are listening to books while they are running.
Yeah.
Big time.
Which was a little bit of a surprise to you both.
It was, but it shouldn't have been, because it wasn't a surprise to some of our other employees on staff that they confirmed that they do in fact run and listen to books.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we've learned a lot from them.
It's definitely, like I was telling you too, it's probably like at least a 40% chance that someone, if you ripped off their headphones, someone's going to be running and listening to a book. And what people prefer to listen to is kind of like variable, but it's definitely something that's pretty prolific in the running community.
Yeah,
absolutely. That was really exciting for me to hear, because I have to admit, I don't listen to a lot of audiobooks myself. I do, but I know we have a lot of enthusiasts on the staff and our customers, and so I often associate it with driving. So I really have to admit that the running thing was new to me, and I was really excited to hear that.
Yeah, absolutely. And for me too, I have just recently gotten into audiobooks as of the past few months.
Oh, okay.
One of the major reasons for that, honestly, is because I discovered Libro.fm, which I'm not sure if you're familiar with this, but
I've used it a couple of times.
Yeah, so it's sort of an alternative to, a more branded audiobook platform that will not be named. But what it does is it is heavily affiliated with your local bookshop. So say, just as a wild example, if you wanted to support 8 Cousins Bookshop through Libro FM, in purchasing your credits, you're also supporting our shop too. And you can link your account to any bookstore that you live nearby, or one that you just really support a lot. So we do have an affiliation with them as well.
Cool. We can we can share that link down below if there is a direct link to do that.
Absolutely, there sure is. Yeah.
There is. So you can start on our website and get to Libro FM, but also we have a link. Actually, we have some of what we're going to talk about today. We're already on our website, so people will see the Runnah logo, as well as some of our recommendations that we're talking about, and then right under that is Libro. So that takes you to any audiobook that's out there and available right now through 8 Cousins.
Yeah, so I'll put that down in the link below for all of our viewers and listeners, so you can go and check out anything that we either will be talking about, or just you want to check out Libro FM to see if it's for you. I definitely have been. I discovered that I preferred audiobooks. I have dyslexia and I have ADHD, so kind of like the dual reading is a little bit challenging me sometimes. But I love listening to all the library book audiobooks and stuff, and it's just so nice to just have another world opened up to me.
Yeah.
Because like if I physically read, like I'm also that person too, where I usually have a Kindle book, a physical book, and an audiobook all going at the same time.
Cover all the bases.
Everything.
Yeah.
Well, and I mean, just listening to people talk about it over the years, some of the things that intrigue me are when the author reads the book themselves. I mean, that doesn't always happen, but that can be really cool. And sometimes it's fiction, but then especially with memoirs or something like that, where it is the person's story and then they're getting to read their own story, I can think that would really add an amazing element to the experience.
I feel like the first time I ever listened to an audiobook, and this was back in like 7th or 8th grade, that it really like resonated with me was I read, I know she's controversial right now, but at that point she was okay, the Ellen DeGeneres like memoir that she wrote, but she read it, so it was like very like grounding, and just it's so interesting because like you could hear where she put the emphasis on stories that like if I was reading her book as an audiobook narrator, I wouldn't have known to like emphasize certain things or like put like little flourishes on certain things, because these were not my lived experiences. But because like either herself or like other authors who read their own books can like be like, oh yeah, I imagined, like even if it's a fiction book, imagine this character like rolling their R's every time they speak. Then they can add that in. Which is definitely a lot of fun.
I think of that a lot as well with Trevor Noah's book as well, because he speaks the audiobook version, I think, is the ultimate one, superior to maybe even the paper version, because
I think memoirs that are read by the author themselves definitely like on a whole different tier.
It's such a different experience, and he speaks so many different languages and like represents so many different dialects, so that's really cool to be like immersed in that way. Another thing I heard from people on staff too is that they're really into reading or listening to like romance and romanticises, especially because often in audiobooks you'll have 2 different narrators for 2 different characters. So it is like
a female and a male.
Yeah, exactly. That would sometimes the female do the weird like, let me just make my voice really low, and it doesn't quite work. But when you have like different actors representing and telling this story, especially, as you're running, as you're walking, it like motivates you to continue your movement in that way. So
I think if I was listening to like a romantasy and the guy came on, he was like, ooh, hello, that would really disrupt my running.
And you're like, I gotta take a break.
That would be helpful. I'd be like,
Well, from the genre perspective, I thought it was cool to hear people talk about mysteries too, that they kind of, that like the adrenaline factor was part of what they were looking for, and like psychological thrillers to kind of like get them going. And I thought that was a fun connection.
Just want to run faster.
So cool. So you guys did a little bit. Well, let's just talk about what 8 Cousins the bookstore is first, and then we'll talk about like a little bit of research that you did and like support and like recommendations you have, and then also supporting the kids front. But in 8 Cousins bookstore is an independent bookstore here in Falmouth. I would say probably the most prolific independent bookstore here in Falmouth, the most popular.
Well, when we opened, there were several stores that other independents in Falmouth when 8 Cousins opened, which was in 1986. And then for the last few years, we have been the only independent bookstore in town. And now, then last year, we opened a second location. So there are 2 stores, but they're very closely connected. They're very physically close to each other. They're about 4 doors away. But we kind of split and went with the kept the kids books in the location that we've been in since 1992, and then moved teen and adult down the street. And that was a lot of fun because for me it was because the store opened as a children's bookstore, and so I was very excited to be able to kind of go back to those roots and have the children's store. And then also they share birthday, so both stores opened July 1st, so 1986 and 2024.
Oh wow. Okay. I didn't realize you guys were the only independent bookstore in Falmouth. I imagine there was probably at least one more that I just hadn't heard of, but like...
There are lots of them around the Cape. So that's, almost every town on the Cape has an independent bookstore, which is kind of exciting. But at the moment, we're the only specific bookstore. We're not the only place that sells books in Falmouth, but we are the only independent bookstore in Falmouth. Yeah.
And I think it's really important to have an independent bookstore in your town, somewhere where you can go where you're like, not only supporting like literature in general, but you're also supporting like local people. Like I'm assuming you guys either live in town or live local, and it's just you're supporting people who live in your community with you.
I hope that people feel that way. That's how we feel. We love being on Main Street and being able to be part of the community and getting a chance to connect with people and talk books, which is one of the things that we do the most, talk books and gifts a lot. But there's also a lot of behind the scenes that happens with an independent bookstore. And we do a lot of work with our schools and with other organizations in the community. Sometimes we bring authors and illustrators in to do events, and sometimes organizations in town will make those arrangements but then bring us into the event. And so there is a lot more back end than people realize, especially because independents are so connected with the publishing industry and can bring that information back. So, what is your community excited about? And we're always talking to people in the publishing industry, and we can sort of say, here's what teachers are looking for. Here's what people are asking for in our community. And, obviously there's a lot of independents and a lot of communities, but we do have that connection and able to share that information, which I don't think is as obvious to people when they walk in.
Yeah. I've not been super involved with bookstores, but I'll go to events here and there. I'm actually going to one next week at a bookstore in it's like an hour from here. But Leigh Bardugo, who wrote Shadow and Bone and also The Familiar and also Ninth House, which is my favorite series by her.
Yep.
Cool. It's my all-time favorite author because she's also just a badass and I love her very much.
She's amazing. Yep.
So cool.
She's going to be at a bookstore that's a little bit out of here. I think it's called it's the shortest story or something like that, or the littlest story. But I'm going to go see an author give a talk. She has a new illustrated book that's coming out that I'm very excited for.
Yeah.
But things like that, people don't think happen, or maybe don't realize happen in bookstores. And those are things that I feel really connect you with the community in a way. Not only bring in an author and connect you further with these authors and realizing oh yes, that person in the back of the book is a real person. They are not just a photo.
Yep. Yeah. And also, most people who are in the industry feel really passionate about, kind of bigger picture things like literacy and their community and, sharing in their stories and connecting with people. And so there's so much of that embedded in the independence of making those personal connections with authors and illustrators in the industry, but also just kind of promoting the community at large, that engagement and literacy and what does that mean for us to be able to share our stories with each other. I think is really important to a lot of us. So every time we get a chance to work with the community and our partners, it just continues that mission that we all have.
Yeah, I think reading too, just in the general sense, is rooted in community, just as an act. I think a lot of people might think oh, I'm going to sit here and read my book and speak to no one about nothing or anything like that. And that's totally fine. But, reading and books, especially in the children's literature world, it's a window into someone else's perspective. It's a window into someone else's culture or world that you might not have been able to have access to. It could also be a mirror into yourself and say, oh, hey, I felt like that before. Or how does this relate to me or someone I know or something like that? And so that's the purpose of reading, I feel is to share it and to have it be a different experience for everyone. Because everyone's going to get something different out of a book, depending on their life history, depending on whatever they see in their world. So
yeah, I feel people who read regularly just inherently are people who care. And just hopefully have some kind of empathy for others, because they're able to see, each book is providing you with a different perspective of someone who's not yourself. Yeah. Unless you physically have written a book, which kudos to you for writing a book, but that's not my life. You're able to see through someone else's eyes, which I was just thinking as you were speaking, oh my God, the number of things that I learned about myself through reading books. I feel all the pivotal moments that I've had in my life where I realized that oh my gosh, this is how I identify, or this is just something that I feel in my soul as well too. And feeling seen and validated. Honestly, a lot of that's been through books.
Yeah.
That's true for a lot of, I think that is true. And I'm kind of thinking about the running component of that, where you're you're independent, you're going through your own experience, but the point is that a lot of other people have maybe also read that book and now you have a shared language, or a lot of other people are kind of nearby you going through that same experience. And it's kind of, those are sort of the best of both worlds. You're really focused on yourself and what you're doing, but also it gives you a chance to connect with the people around you. And that is really true.
Yeah, I think about that too, a lot of through the experiences I've had as a teacher, because in second grade, that's kind of that sweet spot where You're graduating from learning how to read and learning like, oh, if I put these two letters together, it makes this sound.
Make the P.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, digraphs, right. But then in second grade, that's you're at an age in your life, you're 7 or 8 years old, where you're starting to have like your own independence and autonomy and understanding what you like, what you don't like, what's connected to you and what's not. And in second grade, that's the time when it's like, okay, so I'm not learning how to read anymore. I got that, but now I'm like reading to learn. And that's like a really important transition for kids in that area of their life. And in that same token, while they're, reading to learn about the world and they're, in the classroom and beyond, they're also learning like, what do I like to do? What motivates me? Do I want to like be on a soccer team? Do I want to do music? Do I like, what makes me feel connected to myself and to my community? And how do I express that in myself?
Yeah. Helps you. I feel like especially for like kids, it's a tool for growing.
Yes.
It's a big teaching,
100%.
huge teaching tool.
Yeah.
Reading and like reading to kids too, and again like creating that sense of community of like, okay, like if you're like in second grade, you're probably not doing book club, but you can like that version.
You'd be surprised. Yeah, you could. Yeah, but it's true. Yeah.
Yeah. Probably a little bit more. I was imagining like reading to the kids in book club.
Yeah,
a little
no,
bit
you're
more.
so right.
Like that version of book club would be a little bit more prolific than like the other, unless you have like the very simple books, which like definitely could do that too.
Yeah.
But even if the kids are reading or you're reading to them, it's a teaching tool.
Yes, 100%. And like reading looks differently for everyone too. Like something that I would talk about a lot with my students is like everyone needs different things. Like if you fall down on the playground and you scrape your knee, you need a Band-Aid. But if someone else like falls off the monkey bars and breaks their arm, they don't need a Band-Aid. They're going to need something else that's more supportive, that's more healing, and that's fine. It doesn't make it like better or worse than the other. It's just what someone needs. And especially in reading and in the classroom and when you're reading with kids and sharing those stories, I mean, I would have kids come into my classroom, some of them like read a lot at home and have a huge prolific reading background within themselves, but some have never cracked the spine of a book. And so like, how do you meet that span of needs? And a lot of it is like, I feel like the juiciest like part of teaching was when we were all like sitting on the carpet together and sharing a book, because you don't need like, everyone can access it. Everyone has that entry point of we're experiencing a story. We're experiencing something that is maybe similar to what you've experienced, but maybe it's totally different. And like, let's have a conversation about it. Let's ask questions about it. So I think that just opens a whole new world for like the shared experience and the shared language that kids can have at that age.
Yeah. I think specifically for runners, we can get stuck in our own heads like really easily because we're just, generally speaking, there's a lot of runners out there who have like either like ADHD or some like flavor of something like that, where we just have a lot of thoughts.
Yeah.
But a lot of us also have like a lot of social anxiety too, or like to kind of like just think to ourselves. And sometimes that happens, like we just get too self-concentrated. And being able to, I remember like when I ran my first marathon, I had no idea that people take like run poop breaks. I read a book and I was like, oh my gosh, this other person like experienced it. And then like that also like prompted me to talk to my other running friends. They're like, yeah, Juliana, that's pretty normal. If you're like training for a race, you'll have like at least one poop accident, which we'll confirm does happen pretty regularly if you're during at least once during a training cycle. But it's like things like that where I was like, I felt like a little bit ashamed. And then I read a book and I was like, oh, okay, this is like actually, weirdly enough, a shared experience that happens to a lot of people who are running marathons. And just being able to kind of like get out of my own head and like not feel like ashamed of things or just like, oh, it's just me. Like isolating myself in a way that I didn't need to do.
Yeah.
Just because I was able to like see through someone else's eyes, like, oh, okay, like this is something that happens. Like, doesn't necessarily have to be pooping mid-run for everyone, but
But hey,
things like that.
Yeah.
Or just like, I think also a lot of us like to like look at other people who, especially running, because it's a little bit more public, people just like are doing it, especially here in Falmouth. You look outside at any given point in time, there's someone outside running.
Sure. Yeah.
And you look at people and like some people you can like, they're just like very expressive and like the way that their body is, you can tell that they're having a challenging time running. But like probably 90% of the people you look at, they look like fine and you like think like, wow, that looks so easy. When you don't really know what's actually going inside that person's like body and head and everything. And like being able to see through someone else's eyes, like even as a runner, like through the books, is just like a whole new perspective that I think is extremely valuable. Gets us out of our own heads sometimes.
Yeah, I think, that's actually one of the reasons why we were so excited to be part of the Kids Fun Run, is kind of thinking about that, like, what does this mean for kids, and getting outside, getting a chance to engage with the world around them. Might seem in some ways the opposite of reading a book and being internal, but it's not. It's all about learning about what's going on around you and really figuring out, like what you said, like what you like. But then we're very focused on the physical world. You know, books are physical. The tactile component of them is really important. Getting out, running, and feeling the wind and feeling the elements and the weather and smelling. Like those things are all really important for kids. They're part of their development as they're learning, and it may not seem like they're connected, but they are. The more they're experiencing the world in a variety of ways. And so we were just really excited. It's also, not to mention the fact that it's kind of family oriented when we're talking about running. We can have like families running together, and maybe this is the time. I know that with my family, I'm seeing my sister kind of start to introduce running to her son. And he's doing fun runs, she's doing her own thing, but I'm waiting for the day where like they run together, and I imagine that
together or something.
that the fun run is probably part of that, of like introducing your the people, the kids in your life that you really care about to something that you were really excited about, and being able to have that shared experience. So overall, that was one of the those things, that shared experience. And being able to talk to people and having something to talk about. That's what it sounds to me like. Runners love to talk about running.
Oh, we do.
I love to talk about running, and it's that conversation builder. And that's how we think about. That's how I think about books. It's like completely. Love to talk about books. Definitely. It's like a conversation builder. So a lot of connections there.
I feel like runners, and like, I see this in people who run and like read books. I actually have my book club tonight.
Oh, great!
Which is good. We just read The Housemaid.
Oh, nice.
Which I liked. It was more of like kind of like a mystery thriller beach read vibe. For sure. But like it was just in the sweet spot. I liked the audiobook narrator. I thought she was good. Honestly, that's half the battle for me.
Yep.
But we have book club tonight. But a lot of the people who are in our book club are also runners, and like it's kind of funny to like see the parallel between like people talking about running and like how much we can just like blab on and on and on and on. And like, have you tried this? Have you like tried on the shoe? Have you gone on this route? And then also see like people who talk about books talk like about books in the same way of like, oh, I just read this book. Did you hear about it? Like, let's talk about this and about this character. Did you like the decision that they made?
Yeah, totally.
Like things like that. It's kind of like how like straight cis men, generally speaking, talk about sports in a way. Except
that's community.
Hopefully a little bit less toxic from the book and the running people. But it does. It fosters community. And I think you're right with the kids, too. It also, like, inspires to go out and, like, experience things.
Yeah, totally. And, like, be in your own body and know what your body needs. Especially, like, when I was teaching, like, yes, it's important to have reading and math and social studies, etc. But it was just as important to me to be like, let's do a body check-in. Like, let's do a little mindfulness right now. Like, do we feel like we need a little, like, wiggle break? Great, let's put on a song and do a dance party. Or like, in my classroom, I was very lucky because I had a door to the outside that was kind of like this private little oasis that was like away from all the major playgrounds, with just like a field.
That's nice.
I definitely took advantage of it for sure, but it was great. Like when I could just tell we're getting wiggly and we need to like, sometimes it helps
just, like go run around.
Exactly, just be a kid and like run around. But also it was a great teaching tool because I'd be like, okay, let's do like a walk and talk. Like you just read a chapter of your book. All right, go find a buddy and like do one lap and talk about it. Because I feel like that like repetitive movement was really helpful to get their brains like kind of unstuck if they were feeling that way. So I feel like that kind of speaks a little bit to what you were saying too, of a lot of runners can be in their own head and can be like someone who is naturally like, on a specific speed of life. And so it was really helpful for the kids in that way.
Yeah.
One of the things that I keep thinking about is that like kids as learners, and that's something that we talk about a lot, but the relationship with running, of that like learning about their body, learning about the world, learning about what they, what their interests are, and that you really can't separate kids and learning. I mean, you cannot stop them from learning if you tried. They're learning all the time. And so anything that kind of gets them to like think, to look around and see what's going on out there, whether it's book or whether it's running or a dance party or, any other activity, musical instrument, that's all so important because they're constantly kind of sucking in that information and figuring out, like you said, who they are and their place in the world. But they couldn't possibly know that if they didn't have these different
experience it,
experiences. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's just a connection between like the kids running and books. It just makes sense.
Yeah.
So like it sounds like to you both, and also to like us at the marathon too, because again, like you said, it's fostering learning. It's fostering like a positive environment for learning.
Yeah.
It's fostering these kids getting to learn like about their bodies, about themselves, about
Perseverance, like
Yeah.
keep trying.
Keep trying.
You're not always good at something the very first time, but guess what? You can try again.
Try again.
Yeah.
And maybe you get faster,
Yeah.
or maybe you decide you want to get slower because you're enjoying, the experience.
You just want to do like a nice jaunt and just like waving to everyone, like picking up snacks as you go, just having a nice time.
Yeah.
Get a nice picture.
Yeah,
Totally.
absolutely.
Yeah, and I think it's really important for the kids also to see like, oh yeah, like the community is, whether they realize it or not, the community is supporting the community, and also just like see just, I mean, really, especially books that are like, I would say like more positive books, you can't really get enough propaganda for reading.
I think so, yeah. And hopefully, the idea is that these are skills that they're cultivating as kids, but like following throughout the rest of their life too.
Yeah.
Of like, how do I be intentionally in tune with my world? How do I get out there and like go on a nature walk, or like do something intentionally because it makes me feel good or better, it makes me connect to someone in a different way, it makes me understand the world in a different way.
Yeah, and doing that like with their friends too.
Yeah, exactly.
Or other people that they meet there.
Yeah.
So getting to like show that. So I think it's really wonderful that you guys are supporting the kids run.
Excited.
Happy to.
Yeah.
Proud to be a part of it.
I think it's a lot of fun. And you guys, you guys haven't like attended the kids run yet, have you?
We have. So at the very beginning we attended. It's changed a couple times over the years, but
Yes,
for the very first one we were there and very happy because the kids were able to come to the store and pick up their medals and shoelaces. What was cool about it is the first year that you all had the kids run, this book came out, Ghost by Jason Reynolds, and it's a middle grade series about 4 kids on a track team. And so it was just like the perfect connection. So because initially same thing, like, okay, what are we going to do to make this connect? Oh my gosh, this book is perfect. And so we were really excited because the publisher sent us some shoelaces about the book, so we were able to share them with the kids in the fun run. And then the kind of interesting thing, I mean, complete coincidence, but there's a prequel coming out. So there's a new book coming out this fall in this series about the coach, but when the coach was a kid. So I was like, this is perfect. It's called Coach, coming by Jason Reynolds. I don't know if you know his work. He does a lot of middle grade and books for teens, but he's an amazing writer, and this is an excellent series. So whether you like running or not, this is a perfect book for middle grade. So we'll be, Coach comes out around the same time. Coach comes out around the same time as the fun run, so we're excited to have it that weekend or like right after.
Awesome. I'm gonna have to read those. Middle grade books. I love a middle grade book. Like again, dyslexic brain. Like if I can read one of the books series that I didn't read as a kid but read recently is the Percy Jackson series. That's like the exact right sweet spot for me. Like it's like I don't have to stress my brain out over it. Like it's nice and easy read. Like.
Thoughtful and just things to think about.
It comes right back around to like a happy ending. We know that's coming.
It's
nothing like super upsetting.
Exactly.
I don't have to solve the world's problems while I'm reading it.
Yeah,
it's kind of nice and light. But honestly, this sounds like a book that I would pick up on my own.
That's a good one.
Yeah,
that'd be a lot of fun. So that's going to be coming out. And are you guys going to be at our fun run this year? Are there plans to be there?
We're going to be there. We're excited to see it, how it's emerged and evolved over the years. I think it's even the location has changed a little bit. But so we'll be present this year.
Well,
and we'll have a display. We usually have signs up about the fun run when it's happening. So we're kind of waiting to hear all the details about this year, but we're excited to be a part of it.
Yeah, we're ready.
Yeah, we'll get you guys some more details too, and we're just so excited to like be able to work with you for the kids run. So again, just a really great connection for the kids to like see that like, oh yeah, I can do something for my body and then do something for my brain and like kind of do them together as well too.
Yeah, totally.
And get these new experiences, and also like it's great that book is coming out too. So that's a lot of fun. I'll definitely have to read both of those. Now you guys also brought us some recommendations for people who are possibly running the marathon, possibly running the 5K or the half marathon, or just kind of like plotting around, either walking or running somewhere.
Yeah.
Did you want to share those recommendations you had?
Yeah. You want to
Sure.
start and we can alternate.
Yeah, that sounds good. So the first one that really stood out to me is a book called Good for a Girl, and this is written by Lauren Fleshman. And so she's a very decorated collegiate athlete, and it's sort of written like a memoir, but also in the lens of how to promote women's rights within the running community and how to make sure that, maybe the struggles that they go through are sometimes invalidated, and how to kind of change the way for women in the running world. So highly recommend this one by Lauren Fleshman.
That's actually on my to-read list.
The next one I'm going to talk about is another book for kids, because it is about running, and it's Who Just Sing Keeps Going. And this is based on a true story about this person who ran, the oldest person to run the London Marathon. And talking a little bit.
I've actually seen this guy before.
Yeah, he's been in the news. I think he recently did pass away, and he's been in the news, and he's pretty well known from what I can tell. But there's so many things about this book that I love, and one of them is that perseverance that we were talking about. That he keeps going, and people keep saying, sometimes people say, oh, you can't do that, and he just does not listen to that, and he keeps going. And we were kind of talking a little bit about, there's a lot of opportunities for kids to make books, and Emily and I were able to discuss okay, well, what would it look like to kind of make a little running memoir, or maybe if kids have done different ones and have that memory book, or maybe about just one run, what is it that they really love on that particular route, why, and what are they seeing and hearing. And so we were kind of thinking this could be an inspiration for creating our own story about running.
I see now. You don't give me ideas, because now I'm going to go talk to Kathy after this and see if we can do a kid's book about the kids who run the fun run, and how, because I'm sure we could get little kids to say something like, I ran the fun run because my mom told me to and I had fun. And I like muffins or donuts or whatever. It's like little cute things like that. We could probably get a bunch of little stories from people, or at least quotes from the kids.
Yeah, and kids would love to share what they think with you about that. That would be awesome.
Like a sheet that they can write on or something, or draw a picture on. That would be fun. Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
Cape Cod Marathon Kids Run book.
Yeah,
yep.
It's happening.
I think it's gonna happen.
Heard it here first. Another one that is not running specific but very much rooted in movement is very much local as well. It's called Walking Falmouth. It's a guide to Falmouth's best nature hikes. So it's a wonderful kind of one-stop shop and this is just Falmouth. I mean, think about all the other places on the Cape too. But it is a wonderful resource. It has routes that you could go on. It has directions and parking. It has little bonus swimming holes. It has maps. It has everything that you could ever want. If you're just looking for a leisurely nature walk, especially with the family, that would be a great tool. I'm sure that if you were running, this is also a wonderful resource as well to, keep on the pulse of all the best places to be on the Cape, because we're so lucky that Falmouth is a gorgeous place to be outside and
I was actually looking at that when I was in Eight Cousins a couple weeks ago, because I have recently become a trail runner. Thank you so much. And I was like, oh, I've been on that one, and I've been on that one, and that one, and that one. But it's very helpful from what I saw in that book. So definitely something for people to look into as well too. So I feel like that's a good recommendation.
Yeah, for sure.
Very nice.
I just have two more, and the one that I was going to mention, it's not out yet, but it felt really important to talk about today, and it's called Canicross for Fun and Fitness, and it's about running with your dog. And I could only imagine that there would be a lot of enthusiasm. Maybe people already, maybe that's a whole thing, but it's not coming out until September, so we couldn't bring it today. But Canicross for Fun and Fitness is going to be coming out. We do have that on the list as well.
Wonderful.
But then also kind of thinking about the whole family. This is not specifically about running, but it's called The New Fit: How to Own Your Fitness Journey in Your 40s, 50s, and Beyond. And that felt like kind of an important thing for us to be thinking about. We're talking about kids, we're talking about families, but carrying that, So
I think that's a great recommendation too. And we do have a lot of people who are in their 40s and 50s and beyond who are running with us every year, all the different distances. And it is the thing, something to pass down to people, because I don't think people realize how much kids copy adults Like,
that is true.
Yes.
I think it's something we should all probably be very aware of, but that's
Yes.
exactly how they learn, is that they
Yeah.
watch what's happening around them and they try to figure out if that works for them.
Yeah, watch what adults are excited about for sure.
I think that hit home with me when I started working with kids with developmental challenges, and like I work with some kids who just like directly copy you. Like they have one of my buddy Daniel, who's been on the show before, likes to like direct quote people, and he'll pick up on like random things, and I'm like, okay, yes, this is what is happening now. Now this is a quote that will live on forever, something that I said once, which is I feel like very similar for like younger kids too, where it's just like, I said that one thing that one time, and that's now my kid's catchphrase.
Oh,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, kids are like emotional sponges too,
Yes.
so they can feel the vibe that you have. They will like latch on to one thing you said one time and bring it up months later, and you're like, all right, forever here now.
Yeah, I guess I'm glad I said that one thing.
Yeah, exactly. No pressure. Talking around kids.
Though.
Yeah,
yeah.
they do learn a lot.
I do have one more recommendation too. This is also
Yeah.
for a title that is not out until September 23rd, but it's part of the Lonely Planet series, which is a wonderful travel series that we have. But it's called The Epic Runs of the World. So it has a list of like 50 different runs and routes from all different kinds of countries. So if you're someone who loves to travel, I know like I have a lot of family members who are very into traveling, like mirroring and matching traveling with their exercise routines.
Yeah.
And so I feel like that's 100% one that I'm going to be getting for like my stepmom for Christmas. So yeah, I just needed to plug that one. We're excited about it.
I'll have to check that one out too, because I'm going to
That one
Berlin
will-
soon.
Oh yeah, there you go.
That one will be great because it'll have a lot of photographs and, as you know, maps and everything, since it's specifically a travel guide. Yeah.
I do like the Lonely Planets travel guides
Yeah,
too. They do
it's
a really
great.
great job.
They really do.
So definitely a big fan of that. Was there another book under here that you didn't mention?
Well, we brought a couple more that we just that we noticed that might be of interest. This one is called A Race of Life, a diet and exercise program for super fitness and reversing the aging process. And
We also have On the Run, Friendships and Finish Lines. This is a local athlete, Joe Martino's from Western Massachusetts, I believe, but it kind of it talks about how he found his passion for running when he was 14, I think, and kind of followed it throughout his life and all the friends he made along the way. So
we do have a sports section at the store. We have sports for kids and then also sports for adults, but it's kind of all sports. So we're constantly changing what we have. But if people are looking for specific running books or have recommendations, we always love it when people let us know what they're looking for or what they want, and then they can kind of change and make sure that we have those available. And we make a lot of recommendations, but then we also get recommendations and make them to other people. And so it helps when somebody has a specialty or an enthusiasm for a particular topic. We learn a lot from them and make those.
Yeah. Now, so I love these recommendations. I think they're wonderful. I have questions for you ladies.
Okay.
Audiobooks wise.
Yes.
What are you listening to right now and excited about? Because people who run, we love to read books about running. Do not get us wrong. But runners also love to read non-running books too. And also, I will say you're kind of spot on with like the kind of thrillers, mysteries, maybe like some like murder mysteries, a lot of that. A lot of women like to listen to that, and I'm just very confused by that while you're out running by yourself, like listening to a murder story. But maybe it keeps you on your toes and keeps you alert of what's going on, which is fine. But what are you guys reading and you're excited about? Like, it doesn't have to, forget about like that we're on a running podcast. Like, what books are you personally like, this is what I'm reading right now and it's great and you should read it too?
Yeah. What a wonderful question. Thanks for allowing us to talk about that. So for audiobook specific, like I said, I'm new to the
books that
audio.
also come as an audiobook too.
Yeah,
That's also an option
no,
too.
absolutely, yeah. So I recently listened to A Great Big Beautiful Life by Emily Henry, and I have never really donned myself as a romance reader necessarily, but I was like, you know what, I'm gonna give it a try. I know that she's, from what I hear, an amazing writer, and so I did do the audiobook for that, and I absolutely loved it, and now I'm like hooked on all of her books. So I feel like, so I'm just making my way through all of her books for real. I'm on Book Lovers right now, and it's great. So it's just really fun. I definitely listen to it in the car, but I also listen to it when I'm walking around my neighborhood, that kind of thing. So I feel like sometimes I read based on the season that I'm in. So
yes,
like this summer is a summer of romance reading for me, or like books that are based that take place in the summertime. One of my favorite books I've ever read, I just finished, it's called My Friends by Frederick Bachman. And it takes place in the summer, but it follows the journey of a group of 4 friends who, it's the summer that they're 14, and like if you just think back to what it's like to be a 14-year-old in any era of your life,
that's too much anxiety and too
yeah,
much
exactly,
hormones.
exactly. But it's so beautifully written, and it's also a dual timeline story. So it also follows the group when they're in their 40s as well, and meeting another girl who's 14 at that time, and it kind of flip flops between timelines. So.
Did this involve any crying? I feel like this is a book.
Oh yeah,
probably.
no, like literally.
Just given this like premise, I'm like, I would cry at this book.
I have laughed out loud to it on the same page that I'm like sobbing. So I will say, yeah, like you have to be emotionally prepared to go on kind of a journey, but it's so worth it. I love his writing.
This
dearly.
might be my next read to pull up on my Libby or my blah.
Yeah, absolutely. You should do it.
That could be fun. Okay.
Yeah.
I want to split a couple of different things, because one, I've been trying to imagine, like, okay, if I were going to run and listen to an audiobook, what would I do? Which one would I choose? And I think I would go for something a little bit funnier. I was kind of thinking more about T.K. Klune, and I mean, all of his books are really kind of quirky and funny, but The House in the Cerulean Sea is one of my all-time favorites. I kind of want to go try it now, like I want to try this whole phenomenon, like, get an audiobook and see if that inspires, and like go running and see how I feel about that. But it's, it's got kind of this quirky sense of humor. It's a little bit like, I describe it as Death of a Salesman meets Island of Misfit and it's just and with a little bit of magic, it's magical. But there are some laugh out loud. There are always these laugh out loud moments. And so I think there's just something appeals to me about running and listening to a story and like kind of and having that humor. About things that I'm reading right now, it's a combination of, I read a lot of books about management and leadership. That's something that really intrigues me, and been doing a lot of training internally at the store, but also working with different community organizations. And I think a lot about organizations and leadership. So those are some of the books that I'm reading, but we are also getting ready we're moving into our holiday picks season. And every year, 8 Cousins has a tradition of picking what we think are some of the best books of the year and sharing those with our community. And so a lot of the reading that we're doing at this time, or at least what I'm doing, is we're going through those again and making some of those decisions. So I will admit that it's a range, a lot of picture books, because there's so many amazing picture books coming out. But which ones do we really think are some of the best of the year? So we're working on that right now, and we'll have that list ready in a couple of. We usually present it around mid-November. So a lot of the reading is focused on that.
Did you have a favorite book of the year, like for you personally?
Favorite book of the year? I don't know that I have one yet. I'm still kind of waiting to like see which one emerges. Although I forgot the title of the book, the picture book I was reading yesterday about the squirrel and the bird.
I think it's called Squirrel and Bird.
And I will say it's definitely rising to the top of like one of the best picture books this year. Mostly because it really surprised me. I looked at it, I thought, oh, okay, this is going to be a really beautiful fall kind of quiet book. But it has that sense of humor, like very quirky sense of humor that and a very quirky narrator that has, a great voice. And so I was laughing a lot while I was reading that. So I was like, I don't know, Squirrel and Bird might be my book of the year.
Nice. Do you have a favorite book that you've read this year, or did you mention it already?
I think it would be My Friends. I would have to say. And that will probably make it to our picks list as well. I know other people on staff liked it too.
Awesome.
What about you? Do you have a favorite book?
That I read this year? I'm trying to think through the books that I read this year, because we had book club books and I've had my own books that I've been reading. I've honestly been pretty like deep in the Sarah J. Maas verse for no reason, because I don't like it.
Just gotta be in the universe.
All my friends have been talking about it, and I'm like, I'm too deep into Throne to Glass right now that I'm on the last book, and it's like 1,000 pages long. It's too many pages, especially for this book that is just like dragging. But like, I guess my non-recommendation for me personally, and I get that a lot of other people like it, is Sarah J. Maas. Like maybe it was not worth the hype. I'm trying to think of what else I read this. I mean, The Housemaid I read recently that I really liked. I reread Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom, and Six of Crows is literally one of my all-time favorite
I was going to
books
say
of
the
all
same
time.
thing. Yes, all-time favorite.
Every time I reread it, it reconfirms in that I love Six of Crows and Cat Sprecher is my spirit animal.
Yeah.
And that is like the takeaway point I have from that. And I think probably just rereading Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom has been, and I'm rereading, also going to go through King of Scars and Rule of Wolves too, because Nikolai is also my good boy as well. But
well, I'm wondering have you had a chance to read any of Holly Black's books?
so I read The Cruel Prince, which I
Okay.
liked. So the progression for me was all my friends were talking about like all these like romantasy books.
Yeah.
I had read some smut books before this because I have a friend who writes smut books, and so she was having me like pre-read her books. And so everyone's like, yeah, these books are so spicy and hot and like sexy and like you should read them, Juliana, because we all love them. And I was like, fine, I'll read them, whatever. So I read the Cruel Prince series, which I actually liked, and like read that, and I was like, okay, I knew this one wasn't going to be like spicy or anything. That's completely fine with me. And then went into ACOTAR and was disappointed on many levels, like the spice level, the writing quality, and everything. So like Holly Black, I like. Sarah J. Maas, not so much. So
Darkest Part of the Forest is going to be my recommendation. By Holly Black. It's a great time of year to start reading, especially fall and everything. But if you like Libra Duke, I bet you'll like Darkest Part of the Forest. That is another one of my all-time favorites.
Okay, I'm sure that I will, because I did like Holly Black. But it's just the year started off high with her, and then has just like
you got to bring it back up again.
Figure out.
I do like that you're rereading books though too.
Oh, yeah.
I love doing that. Like I'll reread a book that I haven't read in like 10 years, be like, oh, I had to read it for high school, and then it's like, oh wait, I'm in a different like phase of my life where this means something differently. So
well, the first couple times I read through Crooked Kingdom and Six of Crows, I like physically read the book. This times I've been listening to the audiobook, which Lauren Fortgang, who always does the narration for Lee Bardugo in some capacity, top-notch audiobook narrator.
nice.
I think she set the bar a little bit to her and like the guys who read Harry Potter. So I'm like an OG Harry Potter fan. Like I've read those books at least like 20 times minimum. Like I reread them at least every 2 years at an absolute minimum.
Yeah.
But the two guys whose names are escaping me. Those two guys and then Lauren Fortgang have set the bar like way too high for me for when I start an audiobook and I don't like the audiobook narrator. I'm like, nope.
Gotta go.
Nope.
Yeah, it makes a difference. Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny because my Uncle Paul, who's like my twin within my family of like blood relatives, he's the same exact way. It's like, nope, that audiobook narrator is not for me. I'm like, yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
I'm the same way.
Yeah. Gotta have your preferences.
But we're gonna highly recommend Six of Crows.
Yes, definitely.
You can read it as a standalone, or you can read. I recommend to read the first 3 books first, so you get the context in the background. But you can read it as a standalone. It's a lot of fun. But yeah. So, any closing thoughts about just like why people should support their local bookstores, or any like thoughts or feelings we'd like to leave everyone with?
Well, I think it kind of ties in with everything that's going on with the community, like supporting community initiatives, supporting the fun run, supporting the marathon that happens, and all the local organizations and your local businesses. I think we really want to be part of a community. Like everybody who's engaged in that kind of activity and programming wants to have a vibrant community. And I think this local businesses feel the same way. We want to be.
Yeah, we're talking with you guys who are from a local business, with me who's from a local organization at the local community TV station.
Yes.
How much more local can you get?
Yes,
Local oriented. We love our local businesses for sure.
Yeah, and I feel like Falmouth has a really vibrant local community as well too, especially like for a year-round community on the Cape as well too.
Yeah.
And I just feel this like certain level of pride from people, sometimes in a slightly toxic way, who live in Falmouth who like want to buy and like partake in local things specifically. And I think that generally speaking is a very good thing to have in this community.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love being part of this community.
Yeah.
And thank you so much for inviting us to have this conversation about books and running. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And audiobooks.
Yeah.
Got some things to try now.
I know, for real.
I feel like we're going to have a lot of runners who don't have any kids who partake in the kids run who are going to realize that your bookstore is like literally like a quarter of a mile from the finish line.
Swing by. Both of them are right there.
Yeah. You can run any distance, and then you can go and pick up a book, or you can go pick up your bib and then go pick up a book.
That would be amazing.
Yep,
yeah, we will be
absolutely.
there.
Yeah.
We'll be open.
I feel like we're going to
Cheering
reach
'em on.
some people who just, they're not local to town, but they're like, oh, there's a bookstore right down the street. I know that's how I am. Anytime I travel anywhere, especially like a smaller town, like I was just out in Williamstown for my friend's wedding, and my first thing I did was like, oh, a bookstore.
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
that's just like where my brain goes. I'm like, there's
Yeah.
like all these other stores around it, but I'm going to the bookstore. I'm so sorry.
It's a good way to acclimate because there's always usually a local section in a
Uh-huh.
bookstore. So yeah, you can kind of learn what's going on
Yeah,
there.
and staff are always so excited to talk about
Oh, yeah.
books and talk about the community as a whole. So,
Oh yeah, this was a little local bookstore that this absolutely adorable little old woman who was working in it, who must have been like close to 90 years old, and she was so cute. But it was a local resale bookstore, so it was just all like books that people had like brought there, and they were
Yeah.
selling them for like $2, $3, $4.
Yeah.
And it was like an established store. I was like, that's so cool.
Yeah.
yeah.
That there's like an established like brick and mortar like resale
Yeah.
bookstore in this town,
Yep. Yeah.
which is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Does she have any advice for you?
She was just excited that I was from Cape Cod.
Okay.
And she ended up handing me like a bookmark that had a seagull on it, and I was like,
perfect,
that's so nice.
I love it.
I guess the kids made bookmarks, and she was like handing out bookmarks, and she specifically found me one that had a seagull on it because I was from Cape Cod.
Okay.
But she was very cute and I had a very positive experience there. I can't say I've ever been in a bookstore and had a negative experience.
That's good to hear.
That's great.
Let's keep it that way.
Yeah, for sure. Hopefully.
And you too can have a positive experience if you go to Eight Cousins Bookstore down on Main Street in Falmouth.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited that you guys are going to be part of the Kids Run again. Friends, I will put the flyer up on the screen right now with all the details. I'll also put the link down below if you would like to register one of your little ones for the Kids Fun Run as part of our Cape Cod Marathon weekend. It is free, which is very exciting. And you also get this like really kind of like blinged out medal this year too, which Jack, our race director, is very excited about.
Sounds great.
Which I was told earlier is very popular. So that's a great thing, you know. But you can register your kids. We are capping it off at 250 kids this year. But again, the registration is free, and usually there's spots up like almost right up until the registration is closed. So definitely go do that. And hopefully we'll see you guys there in some capacity.
We'll be there cheering them
That'd be
on.
awesome. Did we give you guys a spot at the expo booth? Did you guys want a spot at the expo?
I think we've had conversations, but details haven't been decided. But yeah,
Okay.
we'll look into that
Yeah,
and
'cause
talk
I
to you
know
about it.
Kathy and I were kind of like talking about who was going to be at the race expo the other day, and I'll see her, and I always texting back and forth with her too.
Well, now we're in fall mode, so we're like moving to fall, so we can start really thinking all those
Yeah.
things that need to be finalized.
Yeah.
That's where we're at. So we'll
Fall
get all the
holiday.
information from you. Yeah.
Yeah.
The Falmouth Road Race is a good like tipping point. I feel like for the kids
Yeah.
on the whole, that is kind
It's
of
like
like
now summer's over.
even the weather gets the notification. Like
Yeah.
the weather between Sunday and Monday was like 30 degrees different, pretty
Yeah.
much.
Yeah.
Like
So-
Sunday really felt like the middle of summer, and then all of a sudden it felt like fall on
Fall.
Monday.
Yeah.
Yep.
You're
It
right.
did.
I
It
told
was
my
kinda
friend who
fun.
just moved down here from New York, then this is her first like calendar year here in Falmouth. I was like, and she left for the weekend. She was coming back yesterday. I was like, you will feel a whole tone and vibe shift in the air
Yeah.
when you show up on Monday. It will be very evident. As someone who's also, she's like a yoga teacher, and she's like very empathetic and like feels vibes. I was like, as someone who I know that you are, it's going to smack you in the face. It will be a whole different vibe when you show up here. Same place, different vibe.
Yep. That's true.
Yeah.
Every season's a little bit different here, but it's a lot of you know.
Yeah.
I love the way that the community kind of shifts throughout the year and it
Yeah.
grows and expands. And yeah, so I can't wait to hear what her reaction is when you.
No, for
I'll see you
real.
tonight at book club, actually.
Okay.
Oh, nice.
Okay, good.
Excellent.
So,
Very
we'll-
book day.
Yeah, it's a very book heavy day today. I'll probably go listen to one of my other audiobooks while I'm doing something else later.
Yeah.
So that'll be nice. But yeah, and we'll put the links in the description down below if you guys want to check out the Eight Cousins website. They'll have these books listed under a specific listing under the Runnah heading. And then you can also check out the Libro website if you'd like to support them and buy some audiobooks from them and support the bookstore. And also follow you guys on social media as well too.
Absolutely.
Yep, at Eight Cousins Books.
Eight Cousins Books. There you go. Wonderful.
Thank you.
And then we're excited to have you guys at the race.
Thanks.
Yay.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks so much.
Yeah, it was wonderful to have you guys on again, like supporting other local organization.
Yeah.
Top-notch thing to be doing. And friends, if you'd like to get in contact with us, means me, over here at Runnah. I act like there's other people behind this, and it's just me doing like everything. Editing everything. It's just like, no, it's just me. I am at runnahpod@gmail.com or runnahpod on social medias all across the board. And that's going to be the end. And we'll see you guys hopefully at the Kids Run or the Cape Cod Marathon weekend in some capacity. And we'll see you next time on Runnah.
Bye.
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 You guys did great.
Yay, that was so fun.
That was awesome. Thank you for listening to this episode of Runnah. This podcast is edited, hosted, and produced by me, Juliana Coughlin. Brought to you in part by the Falmouth Running Club and the Falmouth Community TV station. If you'd like to connect with us, you can find us on Instagram and on TikTok at RunnahPod. And you can send us an email at runnahpod@gmail.com. And our original theme music was brought to you by the one and the only wonderful Jeffrey Hutton. And keep up the great work. I'm proud of you.